Hello everyone, we're back on the Carolina Outdoors. We're the outdoor guys from Jesse Brown's, and each week, as you know, we come in and break down 4 different segments for your listening pleasure. Hopefully along the way you will be enticed to get outdoors and do something that maybe you haven't done before. With that being said, we've talked about it before. A lot of us are doing things that we haven't done before because of the environment that we're all living in now. Of course, we know North Carolina state parks are closed. The national parks and forest trail-wise are closed. But there's a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel for recreationalists in the outdoors here in the Carolinas. South Carolina state parks are preparing to open up 1st of May. And where we are here in studio Jesse Brown's, it's a close proximity to get out there and play. One sport that has had an uprising in enthusiasts being out there because it's a form of transportation as well as a way to recreate is biking. Many of you have seen the road bikers who are out on the roads during these beautiful spring days, but we want to shine a light on mountain biking.
So not Harley Davidsons.
Not Harley Davidsons. Okay. That's for another episode in the Blue Ridge Parkway. We're going to take it to the woods a little bit. The voice of Wes Lawson right there, Bill Barty right here, and also biking enthusiast and Jesse Brown's team member, Mr. Tom Pearman is here, and we're going to let Tom shine a light on this sport of mountain biking. But before we delve into the sport, will you talk to us about a few of the places, let's stick to the positive, a few of the places that are open or accessible for area mountain bikers?
Sure. There's a lot of local trails that are still open. Although the best place I can direct you is probably check your Charlotte Mecklenburg County Parks and Rec website, and to make sure, because most of your parks are closed to parking, so you're going to have to access all your trails via walk in the park, and obviously for cycling you're going to ride in. So, but the U.S. Whitewater Center is still a popular place to ride. The Whitewater Center is closed, but the trails are open pending their normal open status. All your other favorite spots around town, Sherman Branch, Francis Beatty, the backyard trails that are just a mile or so back here, which is Park Road Park as well. A lot of those trails are open. So pending water conditions, as far as if we've had rain, you want to check to make sure the trail system is open. The trails are open, but parking is not. So you want to make sure that you're riding in to your favorite trail.
All right, so we want to get into all of that. So we know Mecklenburg County, to this point, the parks have closed. Preparing to reopen. Right. Is a part of the statewide, North Carolina statewide phase system, and I think parks are listed in the phase 1 program of that release. But you're talking about some places like the Whitewater Center. Even though it's closed as far as a business,
sure,
the restaurants closed.
Bathrooms
are closed. That's a good thing to note. And of course the rafting and all of that, it's closed. But you can park there and ride your bike there.
Correct. The parking, a lot of tenants that you've normally passed when you get there.
$5.
$5. I think it's $6 now.
Oh, went up.
Unless you have a year parking pass. And I think they have, security is there. They're asking people to follow normal social distancing guidelines, not parking together, not having large groups riding together. So it has been a popular place. There's a lot of people out there riding. So it's important to understand that there's a lot of people enjoying the trails of different levels. So more experienced riders are coming up on, maybe new riders. So it's just important to be respectful of everybody on the trail, give them their proper social distancing space, and not gather at the trailheads in large groups, ride by yourself or ride with a buddy, maybe a family member. So you're not seeing the big groups on the trails, but I think it's a safe place to be as long as you're practicing those things that we're all practicing in our everyday lives.
We've talked about that a lot in the last couple of shows about etiquette in the outdoors.
Yeah.
Fly fishing, you want to give people a little more time and space in a fishing hole as you're walking down trails. Worth noting that with cycling as well, give people space, but also be patient. We're all in this together. We're all enjoying the same activities, so we have that in common, but let's still give people the opportunity to be a novice.
Sure.
Or to be an expert who maybe wants to share some opinions. But also, we're going to be doing this at different speeds, right?
Sure.
So, being aware of our surroundings, not just in the outdoors, but also the people who we share that space with.
Absolutely. I think that's important not only in the times we're in now, but in general. I think sometimes it's real easy as an experienced rider to forget, or a fly fisherman, or any sport you're doing. Everybody started somewhere, whether they were 10 years old or 50, we all started at some point. So if you're riding on the trails, hiking on the trails, it's important to have etiquette. And if you don't know what that etiquette is, ask somebody. A simple thing is common courtesy. If you're coming up on somebody, let them know you're coming up on them. Don't just blow by somebody, not only for safety reasons, but in the times we're in for health reasons. So it is important. I mean, it's an excellent point. I think it's easy to forget sometimes that everybody started somewhere, and I think that's important to remember, because there's a lot of people out there digging bikes out that they haven't been on in 4 or 5 years, and getting out there and riding. And to me, every time I see more people on a bike, I don't care if they're riding through their neighborhood or riding on a trail, it's exciting to see. I think it's a good, healthy way to get out and enjoy the spring weather, but we also need to be cognitive of the times we're in from the health side of it as well.
Well said. If you're just joining us, this is the Carolina Outdoors as we blast up and down the eastern seaboard early on a Saturday morning via the airwaves of WBT Radio, as well as many of you are subscribing and tuning in to our YouTube channel. Jesse Brown's, it's the big red bird, the pileated woodpecker, there as our mascot, that you may be watching us, and we welcome you, as well as our podcast subscribers. If you're listening to us via podcast, we ask that you'll rate and review us. It helps other people find the Carolina Outdoor Program and tune in. I'm Bill Barty with Wes Lawson and Tom Pearman, and we're talking cycling here, cycling during a pandemic, and we're going to get back to some of the places in our area as we delve into the Tom Pearman world anyway and find out some of the places to go. But sticking to the etiquette part of it, for newcomers, we're working from home, we're going to school at home, or homeschooling, and all of that, and going out for a bike ride, it was for many people the first step into freedom. Sure. As a child. When you first learned to ride that bicycle, you could go places, other neighborhoods that you'd never gone before. But it's also a stress reliever, and both of those things are coming into fashion now. People are stressed or have a higher anxiety for the reasons mentioned before: homeschooling, staying at home, being contained somewhat. Talk to us about, as we learn to ride our bike in the proper form, directionals. If we go to backyard trails, which we want to come back and talk to a little bit, how do we know what direction we should be riding in? Is it labeled, or do we learn on the job there?
That's a great question. I'll touch on 2 things. One, the simple, and I know we're talking more about mountain biking, but if you're gonna be out riding your bike on the road, or maybe you're riding on the road getting to the trails, we don't have enough time to get into all the details, but the simple rule to follow is the same rules that you would follow driving your car. Stop at stop signs, stop at stop lights, ride on the right-hand side of the road with traffic, never ride against traffic. You do have the right to be on the road, but remember, you are a cyclist, not a car, and they don't always appreciate the fact that you're using the road. But the simple rule, if you're out on the road, is follow the same rules that you would follow in traffic. You can get a lot more in the weeds on that, but that's a simple way to do it. On the trail, some trails are directional. They'll usually be marked if they're directional. A lot of times you'll go to a trail and it'll say 2-way. For instance, an example, at backyard trails, it'll just say 2-way traffic. Some of the more popular trails, you'll see that cyclists do ride in a certain direction. Most of the time at the popular places, those are marked. They're not always. That's another piece of common courtesy. Remember, you may ride a certain trail and know that everybody rides those trails clockwise. There may be somebody that's never been there before. Maybe they've decided to go out and try riding on the trail, and they are going the wrong way. No reason to be a jerk to them. Just politely say, hey, just helping you out. these trails are directional, but a lot of them aren't. And so that's sort of a heads up thing. Just be safe out there. Wear your helmet, bring water, be safe and be nice, and everybody gets along pretty well.
So it seems like, kind of a summation is we checked where you're going. When you get there, if there's signage, read it so you know if it's directional or not.
Yeah.
Don't expect all services to be available.
Absolutely.
So pack a snack or lunch, bring your own water. If you're taking food and drink, pack out your trash.
Absolutely.
Let's be good stewards there. Pack out your trash. Good etiquette. What else? What for somebody, I've noticed in my neighborhood, a lot of the old school stump jumpers and rock hoppers are coming back out. These bikes are 25, 30 years old, maybe older in some cases. What are one or two things we ought to do to get those things back to be trail worthy?
Well, to touch on your first question about etiquette, the one piece that would probably be a good piece of advice, especially some of our trails that are in urban environments. So a perfect example would be Park Road Park or the backyard trails. Some of our other trails aren't tucked in around neighborhoods. If you're riding to the trails or you're driving to the trails and then sort of parking in a parking lot and riding, be sensitive in your neighborhoods. Don't park in front of people's driveway. Don't take up neighborhood streets so you can access the trails. The mountain bike community has always been very sensitive to that. We don't want to lose our trails over people complaining. And so if you are driving to trails that aren't near your house, but you're parking in neighborhoods, be sensitive to those folks that live there. We don't want to wear out our welcome, so to speak.
Sure.
The other piece you said about as far as looking over bikes, a lot of our local bike shops are open and are doing a lot of servicing. A lot of them have been very busy. Most of them are doing curbside service, drop your bike off. They'll tell you when it's going to be ready. But as far as digging it out yourself, checking it over, first thing I would recommend is, if it's filthy, clean it. But the biggest thing is a clean chain. I always tell people that are new to cycling, keep your chain clean. The rest of it you can deal with. Check your brakes. So if you're going to take that old stump jumper out and head to the trail, ride it around the neighborhood and make sure the brakes are working. Mm-hmm. Make sure you don't have any leaks in the tire. You don't want to get out on the trail and have to do a flat tire if you're not used to changing those. And clean off that chain a little bit and take off and put your helmet on, get some water, and go have fun.
That sounds perfect. I want to ask, can you stay with us for one more segment?
Sure.
We're talking a lot about bicycling. At Jesse Brown's, we don't sell bicycles, but guess what? All of our customers seem to like to ride bicycles, whether it be road biking, whether it be mountain biking, whether it just be around the neighborhood. Whether you're old, young, or somewhere in between, we hope you enjoy some of what we've talked about, but we hope that you'll stay tuned because we're going to continue the conversation. We're going to find out about some websites that you can go to learn about local rides and also local areas that the parks are open and the trails are open. We're also going to learn about the backyard trails. It's been mentioned a few times during our segment. We're going to go into detail about that area here in Charlotte. But first, this break. You're listening to the Carolina Outdoors with the Outdoor Guys from Jesse Brown's.